2014 will be a pivotal year for President Obama and for both parties in Congress. Wall Street Journal political reporter Neil King joins us from Washington to look ahead to what promises to be a tumultuous new year in Washington. Good morning, Neil.
Good morning, Ashby.
Well, let's start at the top, as it were. For President Obama, you know, it's a year all about managing Congress. Talk to us a little bit about what he has to do to manage to wrangle the folks on Capitol Hill.
Well, it hasn't been an area of great strength for him for the duration of his presidency so far. He comes into a year where, as was noted just a minute ago, the stock market's going well, the job market is improving, but there's going to be, I think, limited chance for real opportunity between the president and Congress. If anything, it's going to be a year of sort of small ball. And it's interesting, you know, he made an appointment just recently bringing on John Podesta, formerly from the Clinton administration, partly with the aim in mind of doing kind of executive order type things outside of the legislative branch to push ahead on some of the things that he thinks are important, like climate control. So that's a pretty good indication that the main game for him is not necessarily going to be in Congress.
It seems also that Democrats have recently learned a lesson from Republicans when it comes to infighting. On this point, we recently spoke to Norm Ornstein of the American Enterprise Institute. Let's have a quick listen.
The Democrats in Congress, by calibrating the way they handled the filibuster issue in the Senate, by effectively going along with and not having a deep internal battle over the budget deal that's been reached, unlike Republicans, are actually doing reasonably well at avoiding disaster.
And now, Neil, it seems like the message here is Republicans need to clean up their act in 2014 if they are going to win over voters heading into the congressional elections in November.
Yeah, I mean, I think Norm makes an interesting point. The Democratic Party has been riven by very, very few of the sort of divisions that have beleaguered the Republican Party. The Republicans, towards the end of this year, did have this, you know, whiff of compromise. They made this budget deal, which was itself very unusual. There's a little bit of a feel that the Republicans in Congress might be sort of turning a corner. Maybe the Tea Party faction is going to sort of take a little bit of a back seat, but there's going to be a lot of really testy primaries in the first half of the year, and that's going to really test this sort of ongoing battle between the Tea Party side of the Republican Party and the kind of more establishment side. And I think they're going to need to see whether they can notch up some accomplishments. But it is worth noting that just when it comes to the elections, the whole picture in November, the wind is definitely at the backs of the Republicans right now. And all the suspense is going to be about, can they take the Senate? And, you know, the chances are fairly decent that they might be able to pull that off.
Interesting. You mentioned, Neil, the Tea Party. What influence do you see them having coming out of 2013 and into 2014?
Well, in a lot of ways, they've had a banner year in Congress, if only by effectively getting in the way of things, you know, helping shut down the government, which some saw as a sort of accomplishment. It remains to be seen whether they're going to have that kind of strength legislatively, or whether they necessarily even want to when it comes to elected members there. I think the real test is going to be, one date worth keeping in mind is May 20th is going to be a big primary day both in Kentucky, Georgia, and Idaho. And in all three of those states, there are battles brewing between a sort of establishment Republican incumbent in the case of Kentucky with the Senate race, and in Idaho with the House race, and a Tea Party-backed insurgent. That could be one of the best moments for us to tell whether the movement, so to speak, has a real thrust or not next year.